Over the last few weeks, I've been noticing people have been preparing their homes, their houses for Christmas. There's been decorations that have been going up. I know in one of our parishes here, one of our homes in the parish, that there is in the range of about 150 nativity scenes have been put up. People prepare their houses in lots of different ways to celebrate Christmas. We do it with tinsel, we do it with trees, we do it with decorations. But preparing for Christmas is not just about preparing the fabric of the building. It's not just even preparing what we have in the fridge or what we have in the cupboards ready to go to serve people when people come to visit. The first reading today, we have this tension that David's asked to build a house for God. But what David went ahead and did was actually he built a palace for himself to live in, and he built a little temple for the Ark of the Covenant. But there is this tension that David had and the Jewish people had is, what is actually the house of God? And how do we prepare the house of God? When we prepare for Christmas, we prepare in these external ways, but hopefully we're also preparing in an internal way to prepare our family to actually be the house of God. The house of David becomes the family that Jesus is born into, that God chooses a particular family to come into. He doesn't just choose a palace, you could say, or a physical place. He chooses a family. And when we prepare our homes for Christmas, we're not just preparing the externals. We need to prepare our family to actually become or be reminded that we are the family of God. Sometimes people talk about the house of David or the house of Jacob, or in a more recent or a more contemporary context, you talk about for Queen Elizabeth, she comes from the house of Windsor. All of us, we participate and we become part of the house of God, the house of Jesus. And preparing our homes for Christmas needs to be more than just those externals. How can we remind each other that we're part of this family of God and that God's chosen to become part of our family, and that through Christmas we're actually part of God's family? So there's a few things that we should do. First is to help each of us spend a few moments reflecting on this. A few moments in silence to think, how are we actually the house of God? What would we do in our own homes to be ready to be reminded that we are the house of God? We are part of this house of God, this family of God. And that's something that's going to be unique in each context. Maybe in a family, it might be decorating the Christmas tree together. It might be an opportunity to bring family together. Maybe it's putting up the 150 nativity scenes. Maybe that's the way. Maybe it's being able to reach out to those we haven't talked to for a while. Reach out to those maybe who feel like they're no longer part of that house of God. Advent's that time where we reach out, where we do decorating, where we prepare in lots of different ways, but we should be preparing for people to feel like they're welcome as part of the house of God. Sometimes people refer to the church building as the house of God. This is a place of God, absolutely. This is one of the houses of God. But the house of God is a family, it's a community, and we're all part of that community. And so we need to reach out so people feel they're actually welcome. They're actually part of this family. And sometimes people at Christmas feel very much part of family, and sometimes people feel sort of ostracized from family or left out. And that shouldn't be the Christian response. We're all part of this family, and we should prepare, especially in these last few days, to help people feel like they're part of the family. The gospel today, the angel comes into a physical place to talk to Mary and reminds Mary of the house of David, of the house of Jacob, of this human family. And Mary's told that she will then have a child that will become part of this family. And Mary can't quite make sense of it all. How is this possible? And the angel says, do not be afraid. Over the last couple of days, there has been perhaps a heightened tension, a heightened fear. But we shouldn't be afraid because we have God with us. Nothing's impossible for God, and we will get beyond this over what's happened in the last few days. Who knows what will happen in the next few days? Hopefully, we've been doing what we've been meant to be doing, and things will be okay. Mary was told, do not be afraid. And we shouldn't be afraid either. Let's be open to what God is providing for us. Mary was open. Mary couldn't quite navigate the path. She said, I can't really see how this is all going to work out. And at times I've felt that in the last few days as well. How is this going to work out? I don't know. But I'm handing it over to God. Because God has a plan. God will work great things, even at this moment in history. So as we prepare for Christmas, prepare by reaching out firstly to our families, to build and to help others to feel like they're part of this house of God. Not just in an external way, but deeply they feel welcomed. And then let us not be afraid. Let's be open as Mary was open to what's to come. Who knows what is to come, but let's be open for the graces that will come. Mary said, I'm the handmaid of the Lord. I'm the servant of the Lord. And that's our response as well. We're called at this time to listen, to reach out, and to be the servants. As we prepare now in these final days, let's know that we're part of this house of God. Let's be welcoming in lots of different ways, whether that's virtually, whether that's with some decorations, whether that's with our joy. Let's be positive, let's be hopeful, and let's know that whatever happens, God has a path. God has a plan, and it's a good plan. And we're called, in responding to this, to be servants. I'm the handmaid of the Lord, said Mary. Let what you have said be done to me. Let us rejoice with Mary. Let's rejoice with the angel who comes to Mary to say, rejoice, most highly favoured one. Let us be those people of rejoicing as we prepare in these final days for Christmas.